Hello everyone, and welcome to Social Distance Cinema Discussion, Episode 9. If you're watching this video and wondering what the fuck am I doing with my life, don't worry, I'm making it with the same attitude. This week we watched I Lost My Body, a movie recommended to us by Tess Reynolds. Another movie that lured us in with a cool trailer just to spit in our goddamn faces. But since I don't think this bit is working, I'm gonna have to throw this over to my right hand man. Drew Mueller! Oh! Thanks, Hand. And what an amazing job you did. How about a round of applause for hand jobs, everybody? This episode's going to be in a bit of a different flair just because I know very little about animation and I know how we all felt about the movie.
That's impossible!
I gotta find my phone to do a little bit more research. First, I just want to see who, if any of you, did the assigned reading, because I Lost My Body is based on a book called Happy Hands. When adapting a book to a screenplay, there's a lot of difficulties, primarily because there's a lot of things you can do in books that you just cannot do in screenplays. One of the things that was pointed out in an interview for I Lost My Body is the fact that the hand actually has a dialogue in the book.
At first, in the book, the hand is talking. It's talking to what happened when it was connected with the body, because it has to go with word. Yeah.
That doesn't translate so well to film because there's no visual way to show a hand talking that's not cheesy. To get around this, the director considered voiceover, which would be the internal monologue of the hand. In the end, he opted against it just because the voiceover seemed a little bit expositional.
At the beginning, we had a voiceover. Mm-hmm. And but it was not working because it kills the point of view. When you are in the point of view, you want to be in the action, and you cannot accept to have a voiceover who grab you. And
so voiceover was distancing.
Yes.
Masters of dialogue and screenplays can get away with making exposition work. There's ways to do it, but the number one rule for film writing is show, don't tell. He could have, for example, had the hand speak, and he could have gone through the character's backstory, which led him to be the way that he is, a terrible human being. But that's kind of cheap. I mean, imagine me coming up to you and saying that I have body dysmorphia because people called me fat in grade school. It's not interesting. You probably want to find that out yourself. The best humor is true. Exposition and voiceover can really cheapen your work if you don't use it correctly. I would like to go through one of the things that you guys pointed out was really strong in the piece, and that was the sound design. Animation in particular needs to have a strong focus on sound design strictly because what you're seeing with your eyes isn't real. So the more real you can make the audio, the more engaged your audience can be because it feels more real to them. One of the unique ways that the director captured audio in this film was that he had the actors actually go in and do the things that they were doing in the exact environment that the animated characters were in. Although I'm sure that's been done before, it's pretty infrequent when it comes to animated films, and I think you can really tell a difference in audio quality, especially between the actors. Other than that, in animated films, tons of work goes into Foley, and one sequence I thought was particularly strong was the hand breaking through the ice and clawing its way back out. He also won a Caesar Award for Best Original Score. The Caesar Awards are kind of like the French version of the Oscars, only I guess more artsy because it's French. Despite what it had going for it, a lot of us had trouble sticking with the piece. Danielle pointed out the horrible film trope where the male starts stalking the female and they become friends and eventually romantic partners. I was at least happy that they didn't try to make him sympathetic after that. He ended up losing her, and it was entirely his fault. It was also good to see, at least from my point of view, that the stalking was the reason for the relationship's failure at the end. Another problem that I think a lot of us had that I can now finally articulate is that the characters were just not really relatable or likable at all. It's hard to root for a hand that murders a pigeon and leaves its children motherless in the first 10 minutes. Likewise, just because your parents died, that doesn't really give you the excuse to be a creep. The cousin sucked. I don't really get the appeal of his romantic interest either. She didn't really talk much and didn't seem to like him all that much. So yeah, if the characters are unlikable, it's hard to grip onto the piece. There was also the added hindrance of watching this in a watch party. It was hard for me to look at the chat and the captioning at the same time, and I lost tons of dialogue, I'm sure. And finally, I'm gonna move on to why I think this is so highly credited on the internet, Rotten Tomatoes and whatnot. I made a point about pretentious film people pretending to understand things just to stay relevant, but I don't think that's entirely what's going on here. Sure, maybe for some, but not everybody. Truth of the matter is, the film is a little bit innovative, I guess. It gripped people, not any of us, but some people enough to sympathize with a hand. Giving anthropomorphic features to things is a common trope in animation. Generally, when this is done, the animators try to give human-like physical features to the object or animal, just because it's easier to sympathize with that thing. It's easy to relate to bugs from A Bug's Life or cars from Cars because they have the human face. In this, the hand has no face, and the only thing we can latch onto is what the hand is doing. So a lot of the awe from this movie comes not from the story, but from how the animators made people sympathize with what's going on in the mind of a hand. That's about all I have, I think. You have anything to add? No, of course not. It's a f***ing hand. I really appreciated all the hand puns this week and the people who refrained from making hand puns this week. If you have anything else to add about this movie, send me a video of yourself talking about it, and I'll throw it in next week's video. Last week, I challenged everyone to send me in a short video or short film of themselves doing anything. And the winner of that ended up being this. Now imagine how cool that would have been if you actually sent something in. Keep up to date on social media and Discord for the next movie choice. Until then, stay safe, stay healthy, and hopefully I'll see you all next week.